The Antique Wine Company sells not only very fine wines, but they must also be wines capable of aging and becoming the antiques of future generations. The 2008 assessment was especially critical because, firstly, the climate fully challenged the skills of today's winemakers, constantly fighting to protect their future crop against stormy weather, unusually cold spells and mildew. But October brought a glorious Indian summer, and although not universal throughout all the chateau, this resulted in some very promising grapes being harvested, and the potential for extremely interesting wines. Secondly, the wine will enter an uncertain market with economic complexities. Whilst the world's thirst for fine wine continues to grow, merchants are expressing concerns that wine has become overpriced, reminding the chateau proprietors of mistakes made in vintages like 1997, when poor quality wasn't reflected in a downward price adjustment. On the other hand, the 1990 vintage, sold En Primeur during the First Gulf War and associated recession, provided medium-term investors with one of their best speculative returns ever. Stephen Williams, with Julien Froger, Antique Wine Company's head of purchasing, went along with Liu Zhuan, one of their Chinese importers, to taste the wines of Chateau Haut Brion and La Mission Haut Brion with Madame Tourid Alcaraz, one of the winery executives.
There will be less cases of Haut Brion than available on the market this year. Only about 7,000 cases of Haut Brion this year, compared to 8,800 cases last year. And but in terms of yields, it was more or less normal. There was one problem because spring, as you know, was quite wet. That means that there was quite an uneven flowering, with some problems with coulure and mirandage on the Merlot grapes. So in the plots of Merlot grapes, it was not at all even. So we had to go out in every single plot at least 3 times to pick the grapes, because they were not ripe at the same time, and it was really not at all homogeneous. But this year we've only been using about 43% of Merlot in La Mission and 41% in Haut Brion. So that's also a little bit less than what you often see. And the Cabernet were nicer this year. Well, there was it was a beautiful after season this year, and that was very good for the Cabernet. We didn't have any problems with rotten grapes. We decided at the end of August to do the leaf thinning also on the other side, on the southwestern side, to aerate. And then after that we didn't have any problems with the rotten grapes, and we could just leave the Cabernet until they became perfectly ripe.
You've mentioned 1988 a few times.
Yes.
Do you feel that it's the most similar resemblance
yes,
to
of course,
the 88 vintage?
It's not twin brother, but
right.
In terms of under certain aspects, I think that's the vintage that is closest to compare it with.
I think that one thing that's quite interesting about the 2008 vintage is obviously the market that the wine is coming onto, with the economic circumstances. And do you think that the quality of the 2008 vintage and what we see now is probably of a superior quality to the 2007?
Yes, we think the quality is higher than in 2007. 2007 wines with a lot of charm. They're very charming, but there is more concentration, better tannic structure, more weight in the 2008. That's right. For us, it's better than 2007.
And do you think the 2008 vintage will have a longer life than the 2007?
Probably, with a more important tannic structure. Yes, I think so.
But I'm sure that the chateaus must consider both the quality of the vintage and the state of the market when figuring out the opening price.
Absolutely.
So the market is very different to what it was in 2007.
Yes.
So one would expect that these wines are probably going to cost a little less than the 2007s. Yes. So really,
the quality is better.
Yeah, the quality is better. The price will be less.
Yes.
Because of the economic situation. And therefore, after the economic situation has recovered in 3 or 4 years' time, these will probably be seen as the bargain of the decade.
We wait and see. possible with that. Well, nothing is decided, so we can wait and see that.
So it's a
It
good
could be
vintage.
that way.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a good vintage for serious wine collectors and wine drink consumers. Perhaps not a vintage for speculators,
No, exactly.
but a vintage for consumers, people that want to really, have good wine in the cellar that's been purchased at the correct price level, I would think.
Yes.
Yeah.